Tonight on CFTK-TV News, East Vancouver parents are trying to save school land, a Coquitlam RCMP officer was the focus of a misconduct hearing, and a Metro Vancouver nurse was the victim of an assault.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Baslett, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. The City of Prince Rupert recently announced that they would soon begin working on some upgrades in the local Civic Center auditorium. In the last few days of November, the center is going to be temporarily closed in order to have its lighting fixtures and ceiling material replaced. This work is being done because the aforementioned material and fixtures are getting older, and the city is looking to improve safety and energy efficiency in the building. J&J Construction will be the ones who are responsible for instituting the upgrades. Earlier today, the District of Kitimat did some water flushing that happened between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. The district also posted a notice about the flushing that mentioned that residents living in the Kildala neighborhood might be noticing some discoloration in their water. The notice has encouraged residents that see this to run their tap on cold until the water eventually clears up. Some East Vancouver parents are fighting to save school land, saying there is not enough space for their kids. The parents are protesting the permanent closure of one elementary school and another site being leased to a private developer. CTV's Yasmin Gandam has more.
Parents stood outside City Hall today calling on the City of Vancouver to pause the rezoning of Fleming Elementary's basketball courts for condos.
On one hand, the city is densifying our city, and on the other hand, the VSB is downsizing school sites.
Also an issue, the permanent closure of Carleton Elementary, nearly lost to a fire in 2016.
It's a school that is in a growing area, transit-oriented development area. There are 6 30-plus story towers planned blocks away from the school community.
Since then, the classrooms have sat empty at a cost of $65,000 a year. And parents, including Indu Bhagat, say her kids are unable to attend their catchment school due to overcrowding, and siblings are often being split up.
We have, as a family, seen emotional stress on our kids. They just want to be together, right? As simple as that. They don't see the ground reality. They just want to be together.
The motion to rezone Fleming Elementary goes before City Council on Thursday. Chang pointed to the city's reports, which relied on enrollment projections from 2020, which show a decline. But more recent figures from June tell a different story.
The VSB's data that is dated June 16, 2025, which clearly shows that there's going to be significant increase in youth populations in the future.
This VSB school board trustee says parents are right to be concerned.
The City of Vancouver should be working with the Vancouver School Board in terms of creating more community spaces and public spaces and utilizing some of that land.
Online public consultations on Carleton's future are open for another month.
Not just a survey, a public engagement survey. I would have liked to have seen town halls.
The final vote from trustees is expected later this year. Yasmin Gandam, CTV News, Vancouver.
Coming up next, Vancouver holds some special connections with the World Series-bound Blue Jays. Welcome back. There's been another assault on a nurse in Metro Vancouver, and it comes as the BC Nurses Union heads to Victoria this week to demand government do more to protect healthcare workers. CTV's Michelle Bernoro has more.
In hospitals and healthcare facilities across the province, violence against workers is believed to be on the rise, according to the BCNU.
Nurses that have been in the system for some time, are saying things like they've never seen it so bad.
Earlier this month, RCMP were called to Alouette Homes, a mental health facility providing involuntary care after reports of a nurse being assaulted by a patient. Investigators say the worker was taken to hospital. Fortunately, the injuries are not believed to be serious. Days earlier, police in New Westminster tasered a man who allegedly threatened workers at Royal Columbian Hospital with an edged weapon.
Nurses were very concerned and had to remove the other patients to keep them safe.
And there's been other disturbing recent incidents. The union says they are supporting nurses who are dealing with a person who has mental health issues who has attempted to sexually assault female staff at a facility.
Healthcare facilities are like pressure cookers right now.
I'm very alarmed to hear about these things, as always.
The health minister says she is continuing to work with the union and her counterparts in other provinces to find answers.
Particularly interested in a conversation I had with the minister from Manitoba around the use of AI weapons detection technology, and of course that is something that we are actively considering.
The union wants more nurses hired, saying when there's enough staff to provide timely care, assaults on workers decrease.
I agree with more nurses and more staff, but also more hospital beds, because if you're doing hallway medicine in an emergency setting, that in itself is not safe.
The BCNU also wants more specially trained relational security officers to work in healthcare settings.
There's many facilities in British Columbia that there isn't any provision of security.
The union heads to Victoria this week to meet with elected officials and urge them to do more to stop the violence. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News.
A Coquitlam RCMP officer accused of sharing racist and discriminatory messages was the focus of a code of conduct hearing. Closing submissions are underway as 3 constables remain on paid leave and waiting on their fate. As CTV's Craig Krause reports, the investigation into the Mounties is being called biased.
Closing submissions are underway in the misconduct case that alleges sexist, racist, and discriminatory messages were sent in group chats and on police computer terminals by 3 Coquitlam RCMP officers, including Constable Philip Dick, who was the focus of Tuesday's hearing. This was the trio in mid-September, where Constables Mersad Nesba, Ian Sullivan, and Dick attended a hearing in Richmond. They faced possible dismissal for discreditable conduct over comments that included racial and homophobic slurs and other derogatory comments about fellow officers and members of the public. On Tuesday, Dick's lawyer Anita Atwell says the investigator assigned to look into the messages was engaged in a witch hunt against her client and had tunnel vision. Atwell refuted many of the claims, saying the complainant is not a credible witness and that the evidence is not reliable, but says her client does admit some messages he sent over police mobile data terminals breached the force's code of conduct, but the investigation into him and fellow officers was unfair and biased. The lawyer for the RCMP Conduct Authority, John McLaughlin, says the comments made by the officers were objectively wrong, and he urged the board to find that allegations of discrimination and discreditable conduct have been proven against Dick, saying people privy to these communications did find them offensive or, at minimum, racist. If they don't find racism offensive, that's them, but we know that's wrong. And now the board will hear submissions on Constable Mesma on Wednesday morning. Craig Crowe, CTV News.
A Vancouver Island couple is looking for legislative action after their son was struck and killed by an oncoming car. With more questions than answers, the devastated family now hopes that their heartbreak can help spur province-wide change. CTV's Andy Garland reports.
Every Monday evening, family, friends, and even strangers gather at this memorial in Cowichan, where 12-year-old Xavier Razul Yankovic lost his life.
It just gives us a community touch point every Monday to be able to remember him together.
The day their lives changed forever, Xavier and his brother were out on the street inline skating, training for the upcoming hockey season with their dad.
I heard this roar behind me.
Xavier's father, Joshua, says this is when his life changed forever. A car, he says, was speeding before he can get to Xavier.
He was doing some sort of drift maneuver, and the back of the car clipped Xavier and sent him flying. And no attempt to stop.
The car hit a telephone pole, and Xavier succumbed to his injuries.
It feels preventable. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prevent this from happening to somebody else.
What they're trying to do is create new legislation called Xavier's Law, which is modeled after proposed legislation in Ontario. It would revoke driving privileges in cases where dangerous driving played a factor in killing someone until the case can be heard in court.
It's not a right, it's a privilege. And so this would help to deter and also take off the roads dangerous drivers.
Premier David Eby recently met with the family about Xavier's Law.
We're hoping that the government introduces the bill either in this sitting session of the legislature or in spring.
According to police, the driver involved in Xavier's death is a minor, and no charges have been laid. Andy Garland, CTV News, the Cowichan Valley.
And now we take a look at both your nightly and weekly weather forecast. On the north coast, tonight's forecast expects heavy rain at times and a low of 9 degrees, with the rest of the week expecting to be pretty much all rain, as well with the high bouncing between 11 and 8 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the night also is likely to have periods of rain, but with a low at 6 degrees, and the weekly forecast expects lots of rain with some potential flurries and a high shifting from 10 to 4 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, their night is supposed to see a chance of showers and a low of 2 degrees, with the upcoming week expecting a couple of mixed condition days in between the cloudy and rainy days, as their high moves from 13 to 3 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. Highway 16 has construction work, bridge maintenance, utility work, debris on the roadway planned, road maintenance work, and shoulder maintenance. Highway 37 has bridge construction, utility work, and maintenance. Highway 37A is still dealing with falling rocks between west of Misiated and east of Stewart, and bridge maintenance, and the Nishka Highway has some mowing. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, people's eagerness to attend the World Series is being taken advantage of by scammers. Welcome back. Fans across the country are rallying behind the Toronto Blue Jays, who are heading to the World Series. One of their star pitchers played in Vancouver just a few months ago, and he's not the only team member whose major league career included a stop in Vancouver with the Canadians. CTV's Shannon Patterson has that story.
He gets Raleigh.
5 months before Trey Savage helped propel the Toronto Blue Jays to the World Series, he was pitching at Nat Bailey Stadium for the Vancouver Canadians.
You could tell Trey Savage certainly had that X factor to be successful and to be successful quickly.
The 22-year-old phenom is one of several current Blue Jays who played for the Vancouver Canadians, the club's single-A affiliate.
Mason Fluharty was making his pro debut for the Vancouver Canadians back in 2022. He had never pitched professionally before he put on a Canadians jersey. That's a nice little feather in our cap for what he's now gone on to do.
His 2-2.
Jays third baseman Addison Barger was also a Canadian.
Addison Barger doing what he did in Game 6 of the ALCS to hit that big home run and drive in another run as well. He was doing that for us starting in 2021 in the final week of the season, and then for most of 2022.
Jays manager John Schneider also managed the Canadians in 2014 and 2015. After the Game 7 win, he shouted out the fans and the city where it started.
From coast to coast to have, this team to grasp onto is really cool. And it's easy for me to say that because I've been part of it for a long time, and I felt the connection when I was managing in Vancouver, as a minor league affiliate, as a Canadian big league team too. So it's special for everyone that's involved with our organization.
For me personally, really awesome to see these guys go on and have this success. And it's stuff that I've been able to see internally for a long time. Now the world gets to see on the biggest stage.
The broadcaster who watched their journeys from single A to the majors thinks the Jays have a real shot.
I certainly think that if it was going to be anybody beating the Dodgers, it's going to have to be the Blue Jays.
When the series shifts to LA for games 3, 4, and 5, Zickel will be there.
To be able to make it down south to Los Angeles just to try and represent for the Seas and for Vancouver and for Canada will be terrific.
Trey Savage will likely get the start when the World Series kicks off on Friday, just 146 days after he was striking out batters at the best little ballpark in Canada. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
There's some of the hottest tickets there are right now, with the Blue Jays and Dodgers facing off in the World Series. Prices are soaring and some fans are turning to social media for cheaper seats, But as CTV's Pat Foran reports, scammers are already cashing in.
And a swing and a fly ball to left field.
As the Toronto Blue Jays get ready to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers, at one point this morning there were 235,000 fans online trying to purchase tickets. They sold out in about 30 minutes. Cadence Bunky of Toronto was one of the lucky fans.
Once I got through, there were not that many tickets left already. Like, a lot of them were resale.
Bunky was able to buy 2 seats in the 500 level for $500 each, and 2 in the 200 level were $750 per ticket.
I was shocked by the face value when I got through. I was like, that's a lot, but everyone was messaging me that they couldn't even get through the queue, so I figured, well, I better buy these.
I just wanted to go by myself because I'm such a massive Jays fan.
Taylor Belford was scammed trying to buy a single Jays ticket through a Facebook group. It was for Game 6 of the Jays and Seattle Mariners at $150 for a ticket in the 200 level. She says it seemed like a bargain, but the seller claimed they couldn't go and didn't want the seat to be wasted.
It was, again, somebody supposedly that had tickets that wasn't going to be able to go, that didn't really care about the money.
After she transferred the money, the seller said he couldn't separate 2 tickets and told her to send another $150. When she asked for a refund, she says it was clear she had been scammed.
I just lost that money, and I don't want other people to have to go through that too, so just be careful.
Tickets are now selling on the secondary market. On Ticketmaster, 500-level tickets are selling for $2,000 to $3,000. The price jumps to $7,500 in Section 115. If you wanted to be closer to the action, you could pay almost $20,000 for 2 tickets. Over on StubHub, prices were about the same, if not more. In Section 22, 2 seats will cost you more than $12,000. But in Row 1, Section 21, 2 seats will set you back almost $25,000. But that's VIP with all you can eat and drink. You may find tickets cheaper, but be cautious if you see deals on social media. Chances are they're a scam.
I think they want to keep this Facebook group open to keep scamming people.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
With autumn in full swing, the cruise ship season has now come to a close. The final vessel will soon depart from Canada Place, ending another strong year for the industry. And while it wasn't as busy as last year, it has operators and the government expecting a banner year in 2026. Penny Dathloss explains.
It was an early morning arrival for the final cruise ship of the season as the Coral Princess docked at Vancouver's waterfront.
And we went to Hawaii and came back again.
Ray and Lynn are taking in a bit of time in the city before heading home to Edmonton.
We wander around and enjoy. Stanley Park is beautiful.
The kind of travelers pumping big bucks into the economy, according to the industry.
For the province as a whole, it supported about 15,000 jobs and about 23,000 jobs across the country, adding $5.2 billion in economic activity to Canada.
$1 billion of that locally. But it's not just Vancouver's economy benefiting.
Hundreds of thousands of passengers stopping in Victoria, continued growth in the Port of Prince Rupert, more than 50,000 cruise passengers stopped there.
And while this year's numbers were down slightly from last year's record, they're still big. 301 ships visited Vancouver, bringing 1.2 million passengers. Next year, 355 ships are already booked, anticipated to bring 1.4 million people.
That's almost about an 18% increase.
And while Canadian travelers may account for the dip, Americans don't seem to be deterred by the trade war between our countries.
To a certain extent, the geopolitical issues always plays in people's mind when they choose to travel. But looking at the numbers in 2025, we had seen a strong recovery. We've still seen a strong demand of U.S. tourists.
The provincial government is even in talks to potentially expand berths.
There are so many more partnerships that we are looking at with the cruise industry, with sailing to Alaska, with increasing more ports here, that we will be seeing more port calls and more passengers.
Many of those enjoying the onboard experience.
We had a luxurious time.
See themselves continuing this style of travel.
Everybody on the boat was talking about their next cruise, and you know, they were planning years ahead.
With Vancouver proving to be a picture-perfect port of call. Penny Dathloss, CTV News, Vancouver.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking as of today compared to yesterday. The Canadian dollar is up 0.13 cents. The price of gold is down $43.70. Oil is up $1.26. Natural gas is down 4 cents. Aluminum is up $9. In Toronto, the TSX is up 94.16 points. The Venture Index is down 3.36. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 334.33, and NASDAQ is down 213.27. Still ahead, a Manitoba singer claims to have heard an AI-manipulated version of her voice. Welcome back. A Manitoba singer is speaking out after hearing what she claims is a AI-manipulated version of her voice. CTV's Harrison Shin looks into their allegation that AI did indeed play a part.
Take a listen to this song.
The lights are low, the air feels thick tonight.
It's called Velvet Desire by an artist named Nymphox. Now, listen to this.
You're carved from chaos, goddess in lace, and I swear.
This is Velvet Vice, a song released by Jody Lang and her husband, going by Hexa Moon. Their music is regularly uploaded to a number of streaming platforms, but Lang feels like AI may have stolen her talent.
I find that a lot of the similarities are between the track titles and the songs.
Lang alleges Nymphox used some of her own made-up language for their songs.
My voice singing a song I never wrote and I never sang, and it absolutely terrified me.
That's something Nymphox strongly denied. In an email, the artist says, in part, quote, no real human voice was used, cloned, or replicated in any part of Nymphox's work. David Gerhard, computer science professor at the University of Manitoba, who could not comment on this specific case, said in general, the line between original work and AI is blurring, but proving it and preventing overlap is not easy.
The problem is that AI is so ubiquitous, it's difficult to constrain those kind of behaviors, and so people then have to use legal means as opposed to technical means to do that.
Lang filed complaints to a number of platforms. An email from Spotify said they would take down Nymphox's track as a preventative measure. CTV News did not hear back from Spotify. Lang says the whole thing is disappointing, but it won't stop her from putting out content.
Go out and be the best you that you can be.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The Mines Ministry says the BC government has issued a permit for a magnesium mine near the Kootenay community of Rossland, though permits related to water management and the use of local roads are still required. The ministry says it worked with the community and mining industry to ensure transparency throughout the permit application process, including consideration of feedback submitted during a public comment period. It says a mine development review committee, including representation from local governments, First Nations, and subject matter experts, conducted a rigorous review on the project and provided recommendations to the province. The ministry says the Record Ridge mine owned by Western High Yield Resources resembles a typical quarry and doesn't require tailings storage. RCMP say livestock investigators are asking anyone with information to come forward after the poaching of a steer calf near Merritt. The Mounties say officers went to the scene on Brookmere Road and found a substantial amount of evidence, but the investigation is still ongoing. They say police were recently informed of 2 other separate instances of cattle being shot and poached in the Quesnel and Hickson areas. Anyone with information is asked to contact the RCMP. That's all of our news for now. From everyone here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thank you for watching. We will see you next time.